know, babe, after that introduction, I may just say amen and sit down. I think it's all downhill from here. Hey, Timmy, I want to tell you this. This convention looks great. A lot of energy, great delegates, first class, just what Ohio is all about, right? And babe, I do want to thank you for that warm introduction. And Tim, I want to thank you for not only inviting me to the convention, but for your friendship and for your leadership. I want to thank you for that. It's good to be back in Cincinnati, a good old American city. And I'd like for you to take a look around at yourselves, if you wouldn't mind, because I'm looking too, and I got to tell you, I really like what I see. I see Ohio out there. I see the real Ohio. I see unionism, and I see it right here in America's heartlands. Thank you. Thank you for what you do every single day. You know, it reminds me, Tim, when old Governor Kasich attacked collective bargaining, all of you fought back, and your efforts was an unprecedented in the history of this nation. And the good people of Ohio turned back Kasich's signature effort by almost a 2-to-1 margin in almost every county in Ohio. Now think about that. Every county in Ohio, we beat him 2-to-1. See, now it's time to take the next step, because Senate Bill 5 may have been defeated, but I can tell you it's still breathing. It's like this big vampire out there that you got to drive a wooden stake in its heart to kill it once and for all. Pieces of SB 5 have been shoehorned into law every time they could try to squeeze a piece of it in by a governor who learned one lesson and one lesson only. And that was to be more stealthy, more deceitful, and more treacherous. And you can quote me on all of that, by the way. But it won't work, of course, because all of you, all of us are watching. And we don't forget, do we? Do we forget? All right. You see, brothers and sisters, Ohio, as our whole nation and the labor movement, we're in the midst of some very, very major changes. And over the next 50 days, until Election Day, we really have an opportunity to shape that change, to make it work for working people. Now, this is bigger than Kasich and much bigger than SB 5. Think about the last 40 years that we've been around. Ohio's working families have been working harder and harder for less and less, as the richest 1% has taken more and more of the wealth that we create, leaving every single day just a little bit less for the rest of us. Everyone who isn't rich has grown a bit poorer. And for too long, too much of what made our country great has really been pushed into decline. You see, as our roads and our bridges and other infrastructure deteriorate, and as public investment in social services and public education and housing and transportation and research and medicine gets slashed so that politicians can give more tax cuts to the super rich, especially the wealthiest 1%. Now, the income gap in this country has widened so much that everybody from the president to the Pope is talking about it. Listen to this. So far this year, 2014, real hourly wages for American workers dropped by an average of about 1%. For those of us with high school degrees and college degrees and advanced degrees. See, brothers and sisters, the workers who supposedly did everything right, they tell us, get an education, it'll all work out for you, everything will be great. Well, those who did everything right, who worked hard, and they earned a master's degree or a law degree or other advanced credentials. Well, those workers actually saw the largest wage decline, almost 3% in this year alone. Now, that's enough to make a significant difference in a family's quality of life. Maybe not for the rich, but for the rest of us, a 3% cut hurts, and it hurts bad. And it takes things away from our family. And you see, that's what's at stake in this very election. For 40 years, the story of decline has played out in almost every community in America, in coal communities, in steel communities, and every other community out there. And Ohio, this great state, has been hit hard. But guess what? The landscape is changing. Ohio's changing. There's a new story in America right now. And quite frankly, it's our job, each and every one of us, to bring that new story to the voters out there of Ohio. See, activism is changing our country. With activism, we're going to raise wages. We're going to lift up our lives. And America, quite frankly, really likes the idea of raising wages for the bottom 99%, not the top 1%. They like that idea. See? The time is right. Working people are coming together, standing together. The American public is starting to rise up because we want to raise wages and we want to stand together and vote together to do it. Now, people are talking about collective action and about economic inequality. People are talking about collective bargaining. People who never spoke the words before. Because activism across our country is on the rise. See, we've marched with fast food workers who demand fairness and dignity and a $15 an hour wage right here in Cincinnati. My hat goes off to those courageous workers. God love each and every one of them. Every last one of them. And we support the Walmart workers. We're standing with working America members and taxi workers and machinists and manufacturing workers all across Ohio. From the work site to the ballot box, we're going to make our voices heard. You see, in this country, the richest nation on the face of the earth, at its richest time in history, that's not too much to ask for. Especially for us, because we're the workers of America. From the hotel to the high school, we lay the foundation. We teach the classes and we drive the buses, we build the roads, we lift the loads and we answer the call. We do whatever it takes, no matter the cost. We wake our country up every single day and we put her to bed at night. This is our country. This is our time right now, and we're taking it back for the workers of this country, and we won't let anybody like a Governor Kasich try to take it back from us, right? Because when we talk about lifting up working people, we're not talking about statistics. I get frustrated sometimes when I hear economists say, oh, well, no problem. Yeah, these people get wiped out, but we'll create other things over here. Like we're a number on a page. Our lives don't matter. That community that gets wiped out in the process, oh, that's just a casualty of policy. Well, I'm sick of that because we're talking about real people and our lives. We're talking about mothers and we're talking about fathers. We're talking about daughters and we're talking about sons. We're talking about the ability to pay our bills, to get new tires on our vehicle when we need them, to raise a family if we want one. We're talking about standing together for what counts, what really counts. See, there's something growing in America. It's a new kind of populism. You know, I'd call it pent-up populism because I think in the body of every worker out there, there's a person who supports populism and populist ideas. It includes supporters of our working family agenda. And we want work to pay for the people who work. We want work to lift us up, not trap us in poverty. And all of us share the same pent-up hunger for a better life. What that better life varies. You talk to somebody with making minimum wage and living below the poverty level, you know, their dream is just to be able to do a little bit better for their kids, to have better food on the table and better clothes. And as you go up the chain, our vision gets a little higher. Workers all share that same pent-up hunger for a better life. And let me tell you something interesting. About 10 days ago, two regular women from union working families hit the airwaves and they hit social media. And they're called the Koch sisters. Now, raise your hand out there if you've heard about the Koch sisters so far. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. We're getting it out there. If you haven't, check them out at kochsisters.org. See, the idea is simple. They share the Koch brothers' name, but not their values. Koch sisters, like the rest of us, don't have the billions of dollars that the right-wing Koch brothers have to buy politicians and elections and to buy policy that benefits them at the expense of the rest of us. But we have a voice, and we have each other, and the numbers are on our side. And we plan to use our voice and our vote around common sense issues for working families. See, I believe that America is sick and tired of losing middle-class jobs. So all across this country, we're done with the downward spiral. And in poll after poll, we hear Americans say that we want an economy that works for everyone, not just the wealthy few. More than 70% of the American people, not just union members, want a minimum wage that is at least $10.10 an hour. 82% of the public wants good American manufacturing jobs, not more bad trade deals. See, these are populist ideas that unite all of us. Let me tell you this. At the AFL-CIO headquarters, we did a poll of a group of national voters. We asked if they agreed with this simple statement. We need to make sure that all of us, not just the CEOs, get a fair share in our economy. More than 2 out of 3 of those voters agreed. Strong majority. Almost 70% said, yep, that's right. We need to make sure all of us, not just CEOs, get our fair share. And I thought to myself, 70%'s a powerful percentage. But man, it should be much higher than that. Well, here's the kicker. That poll was of 100% Republican working class voters. 100% Republicans, and they said 70% that all all of us should get our fair share in this economy, not just the CEOs. I really like to call them working class voters who just happen to be Republican so far. We get to them. You see, working people may embrace a range of philosophies and religions and political points of view, but we're united by the circumstances of our lives and by the vision and by the hopes that we share. Between now and November 4th, we have a chance to show candidates that supporting a working family's agenda, America's agenda, with pent-up populism is a surefire way to win an election every single time. That's what we need to show them. And we have an opportunity to win for candidates who do embrace it, who are committed to making work lift us up, not hold us down. From the White House on down, the people asking for our votes should focus on economic inequality and what can be done to fix it and what they'll do to support that fix. See, pent-up populism will lift candidates to victory right here in Ohio and all across America. And we're going to make that happen with our hard work. See, it's up to you and it's up to me. It's up to each and every one of us to help bridge the gap for workers who share our values, but who don't yet see how our interests intersect. It's up to us. We have to join them together, because together we're the vast, vast, vast majority of this country. And here's the good news. Power and hope are rising, brothers and sisters. We're on the right path. We got to keep going. We're not there yet, but I know we'll get there, because I know that we're going to stand together to raise wages. We're going to march together for a better life, for working families, for good pay, for a strong future, and for each other. And we will not back down or back up or shut up or sit down. We won't be turned aside or pushed back out of work. We won't be denied. This is our country, and it is time we took her back. You see, unionism works. Solidarity builds careers and strong families and strong communities and a strong future for the United States of America. The best way to fair pay? Union contract. Best way to retirement security? Union contract. Best way to respect and dignity on the job? Union contract. Best way to a better tomorrow so you can give your family a decent life and a strong future? It all comes back to a union contract, right? Yeah. And if there's one thing that Ohio believes, it's the fundamental right of every worker to join and form a union. They said that almost 2-to-1 in every county in this great state. And that's why it's so disgusting that an anti-worker politician like John Kasich refuses to be honest about his intention to pass right to work the day after he's reelected. See, the people of Ohio deserve to know where the governor stands on this matter of fundamental economic importance to the state. 4 short years ago, Governor Kasich hit working families hard when he pushed SB 5 as soon as he was in office. And his goal was to split us up. You remember that? destroy public sector bargaining. And he would have done it too. He would have done it, but for you, but for us coming together, but for solidarity. And guess what? Today he's getting ready to sucker punch Ohio's workers again. Now, of course he won't admit it. He'd lose re-election if he said what he wanted to do. That's why he's laying back until after Election Day. But remember this, Governor Kasich is an anti-union as they get, but he won't admit it. Neither did Governor Snyder in Michigan, who refused to give his position on right to work right up until the moment he signed the bill. So did Governor Daniels in Indiana, who even told labor crowds that he was against right to work until he signed it into law. Those politicians are truly awful. But Governor Kasich, quite frankly, takes the case because he's a coward and he's a bully. He's a coward because he won't campaign on his real agenda. And he's a bully because he tries to pit Ohio against itself. He's also taken gerrymandering and election rigging to new lows with redrawn legislative districts and endless attempts to restrict voting. You know why? It's all to maintain unpopular political control by keeping people of color and young people and the elderly away from the polls. And that's not only wrong, that's un-American. But guess what? We can do something about it. And I know that we're going to do something about it. We can campaign for Ed Fitzgerald for governor, and we can end John Kasich's real plans, and that's to run for some other office up higher down the road. Time that it ended here, and we kept him in Ohio rather than giving him to the rest of the nation, right? And you can also stand up and fight for Nina Turner for Secretary of State. She's one of the best, hard-working advocate for workers' rights and voting rights. She's the real deal. And if we work hard, real hard, we can put her into office. And you can campaign hard for Connie Pillich right here in Cincinnati. She's an Air Force veteran 2 times over. She's running for state treasurer against a terrible politician named Josh Mandel, who's probably the worst politician to hold that office in Ohio's history. See, we're going to knock on doors, and we're going to leaflet, and we're going to phone bank for Connie Pillich just because she'll be a good steward for Ohio, not some rabid partisan. And then there's David Pepper, who's also here from Cincinnati. Now, there's a great candidate for Attorney General, and he'll be a champion for Ohio. He's proven his worth in Hamilton County. He's balanced, he'll be just, and he's a great candidate for Ohio's future. Look, up and down the ticket, you've got some great candidates to support. Right now, it all comes down to our political program. Are we going to execute? Well, let me ask you this. If you like the way the economy's going and how it's treated us the last 40 years, if you think right to work is good for us, that keeping the minimum wages down is good for us, not extending unemployment benefits is good for us, if you think we shouldn't build any more infrastructure, then do nothing. Do nothing, and that's exactly what you'll get. The economy will keep spiraling down right underneath us. But if you think there's a better way, if you think America can do better, if you think we ought to have better quality jobs, not more bad trade deals, everybody ought to have higher wages and better benefits and a secure retirement, I want every single one of you, every single one, to be fully engaged in 2014. I want to see full participation, full buy-in. Need you to release staff to get them out so that we can activate our members. Need you to get crowds of activists out there, volunteers, so that we can knock on those doors and make those phone calls and turn this state and this country around. And I want all of you in the phone banks, because we lead by example. Knock on doors, because we need face-to-face conversations. That's how we win elections. Personal contact works, and I'm doing it. Go into the phone bank and AFL-CIO headquarters at lunchtime. You'll see my sorry butt in there calling like everybody else. Because when the leaders do it, it says to the rank and file that it's important, that if you're willing to do it, they'll be willing to do it. You see, that's how we motivate volunteers. And you'll strengthen your activism, and you'll help us connect with more working class voters to get more working families to the polls. Because if we want the policies that we need, then we need the right leaders in every corner of the economy, every corner of America. Listen, they want us to believe that the economy's like the weather. You walk outside and it's raining, there's nothing you can do about it. You get screwed by the economy, they want you to believe there's nothing you can do about it. But the economy is nothing but a set of rules. Those rules decide the winners and the losers. Those rules are made by the men and the women that we elect at the local level, at the state level, and at the national level. And we need people that are going to make rules that benefit working people. You see, we're changing lives. We're scrambling and reaching for a little more hope. And we have a vision of America that is fair and just and rewards people for hard work. And we're making it real. Because when all of us pitch in, well, that's shared responsibility. That's shared sacrifice. That's how we win. So I need you to get off your seats and on your feet, brothers and sisters, because when we stand together, we win together. And we will stand together, and we're going to win together, but we're going to have to work for it. We're going to have to fight for it together, all of us, with solidarity, real solidarity, where your picket line is my picket line, and I honor it, and don't ask any questions. Shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, standing together, fighting together, voting together, taking back America together. God bless you. Let's go do it.